Jennifer, I decided to give you the quick overview if you have a few minutes and we don't get a chance to talk. So this is something on the Complete Streets briefing, and here it goes. The policy was passed back in September of 2014, and it's pretty extensive, and one of the most important things is that if you look at this blow up in the yellow, that the Complete Streets policy will be integrated into the department's internal manuals, guidelines, and related documents governing planning, design, construction, and operations of transportation facilities. So it really entails everything that we do, and that's why they got a team of people from around the districts and around the state that represent almost everything that we do here. We've been through 4 workshops as a team. The next workshop is the one that Gina and I will be attending. That will be next week sometime down in the Orlando area, and it will be to discuss the recommendations. The most important thing that wanted to get by you and Weiwei is the recommendations that are the recommendations that might impact systems planning. The level of service standards are one. These are some of the ideas that came up through all the meetings, is that we should state that level of service for the automobile is only one of the considerations during design and planning, and that we should have more flexibility with the level of service standards depending on the context. The handbook itself, that we should beef up the measures for other travel modes and actually consider adding a section on Complete Streets performance measures. On the state SIS highway component standards and criteria, that we should consider updating the design standards to be more sensitive to small towns and cities that are interested in a more pedestrian-friendly, transit-friendly context, and to reduce the minimum design speeds through urban areas for the SIS component. The last 2 Complete Streets webinars we had, one was on June 16th, the other was July 9th. It was attended by people from safety as well as policy planning and design. And this comes from Dwayne Carver's presentation on what is a complete street, and just wants to reiterate that we have a lot of complete streets, and it's what's appropriate for the area that it goes through. It's the context. Point he was making here, that this road here serves who it's supposed to serve, and in a way that is a complete street. A lot of misunderstanding about what a complete street is. People will say, what does that mean? Every road needs to have one of our new wide bicycle lanes on it. Does it mean all the roads will be narrowed? And it doesn't necessarily mean any of that. The one instance here is Monroe Street, where they probably would not have room to build a bike lane as well as have on-street parking, and that perhaps a sharrow, if the traffic is light enough, could be considered there. A sharrow looks something like this symbol here. It means that the bicycle will be treated as a slow-moving vehicle and people will go around. Most bicycle trips being short, the studies they've done so far show that it doesn't really make much of a difference in the long term on a trip. Slowing traffic is not appropriate on all highways, and the people who have been doing this know, doing these presentations and our workshops know that. You do need to have the right conditions. You do need to look at the speed and the type of traffic and whether it's supported by local governments. But we should remember that even slowing speeds does not always lead to noticeable decreased travel times, especially for regional trips. People are slowed down through small towns. If people are slowed down some as they go through cities, from the standpoint of their full trip, it hasn't shown to be making much of a difference. This is where implementation might impact systems planning. We also already mentioned this. There's a level of service standards or quality level of service handbook and changes possible to be recommended for the highway component of the SIS. For access management, we really probably should start looking at more flexibility for standards for access management that are more sensitive to the context. Some of the most recent access management conferences have had presentations on combining the concept of access management standards with the Urban Design Transect. Our level of service standards, this is Newberry, which goes between Fanning Springs and Gainesville, and because there is a hot spot here for level of service in the future, for Newberry, there have been all sorts of transportation improvements thought of. The downtown, which is a really small portion of the urban area or the city limits, looks like this. And a number of the things they have looked at is a bypass to the north, a bypass to the south. That is now out. They're no longer looking at that, but they are still keeping in mind that they might want to build a one-way pair north of the town that would go through a historical neighborhood. The plans preparation manual has quite a bit in it for the SIS, and there have been recommendations that this be changed or made to be more sensitive to the context that it goes through. This is the great city of Vernon. It's under construction, or it was at least when these pictures were taken. And even though this is not a quaint downtown like Newberry, you can see that the number of lanes that will eventually be out there really have an impact on the way that that town grows or doesn't grow. We looked at where the SIS highway component runs through urban areas, found out that most of the mileage is freeway, which we're not concerned with, and that most of the large cities at this point don't have SIS highways running through their downtowns. Most of the SIS facilities that go into large urban areas are usually seem to be on the outskirts, and they're already somewhat high speed, which we don't see changing. So it looks like the small towns are the particular thing that are the things that we should be looking at having more flexibility with for the design speed and level of service standards.